They thought my silence was weakness, a harmless pause in the chaos, a blank space that could be ignored or mocked. Every snicker, every subtle insult, every arrogant glance directed at me became fuel, not for anger, but for strategy. While they assumed I was powerless, I was quietly observing, noting patterns, habits, and the tiny cracks in their seemingly perfect lives. Each careless word, each smug gesture, became a piece of the puzzle I was constructing in shadows. Patience became my weapon, observation my armor, and silence my shield. I knew that revenge, when executed impulsively, often fails. That's why I chose stillness. I let my calm disguise the storm brewing within. The world around me remained oblivious as I meticulously catalogued every error, every misstep, and every instance of arrogance that could be turned into leverage. My silence was not emptiness, it was a deliberate, powerful plan that would eventually reveal its force, a force they could neither anticipate nor defend against. And in that quiet, underestimated by everyone, I discovered the subtle, immense power of restraint and calculated patience. Weeks turned into months, each day reinforcing the invisible threads I was weaving around them. Their laughter grew louder, their arrogance more pronounced, their belief in invincibility absolute. But with every smile they cast, with every moment of imagined superiority, I quietly strengthened my position. I tracked their interactions, studied their relationships, and noticed the tiniest cracks they never intended anyone to see. Every fleeting glance, every whispered comment, and every trust they misplaced became strategic ammunition for the plan I was crafting in shadows. I never acted hastily, each move was deliberate, designed to align perfectly with the ultimate outcome. My silence concealed not passivity, but a meticulous strategy, the kind that only unfolds with time, patience, and precision. They remained blind to the storm silently approaching, unaware that the quiet observer they underestimated was orchestrating every ripple in their life with precision and purpose. And as the days passed, my anticipation grew, not for immediate confrontation, but for the inevitable moment when their arrogance would be fully exposed. The first subtle cracks appeared like whispers in the wind, small, almost imperceptible, but unmistakable to the trained eye. Opportunities slipped away at critical moments, alliances faltered, and their confidence began to erode quietly. Each misstep was carefully guided by the invisible hand of patience and strategy. They believed these setbacks were coincidence, random fluctuations in fortune, never suspecting the quiet influence silently steering outcomes. My silence became the canvas on which their downfall was painted, and every unnoticed gesture they made contributed to the grand design. Observation, patience, and timing proved far more powerful than any loud retaliation could have achieved. Every careless laugh, every dismissive glance, every underestimated pause contributed to the invisible architecture of consequences that would soon collapse around them. While they reveled in imagined victory, they were unknowingly walking into a trap constructed entirely by the calm, unseen strategist they had mocked. Then came the pivotal turning point, the perfect convergence of opportunity and consequence. They revealed secrets in trust they assumed was safe, exposed vulnerabilities they believed hidden, and displayed arrogance that could no longer be ignored. Every act became a domino in the chain reaction I had quietly orchestrated. I remained invisible, patient, and calculated, letting events unfold naturally, allowing their misjudgments to stack upon one another. The beauty of silent payback is in its invisibility. It strikes without warning, manipulates without force, and dismantles without noise. By the time they recognized the gravity of their errors, the structure of their downfall was already complete. The power of silence had transformed into undeniable influence, and patience had become an unstoppable force. Revenge need not be loud. When executed with precision, it requires only time, observation, and a calm mind to deliver consequences that echo far louder than any words ever could. In the following weeks, the chain reaction grew more intense, yet remained almost invisible to outsiders. subtle shifts in alliances, faint hesitations in conversations, and small failures compounded into a pattern that no one could ignore, but no one could trace to me. They struggled to understand why their world, once so predictable, had suddenly begun to unravel. Misplaced trust, overlooked mistakes, and minor setbacks multiplied naturally, each one reinforcing the next. All of this happened without confrontation, without spectacle, without any overt act of retaliation. Their arrogance blinded them to the quiet, powerful strategy at work, while my silent patience guided every outcome. This is the essence of silent payback: influence that cannot be traced, power that cannot be resisted, and strategy that unfolds invisibly yet inexorably. Every small disruption, every unnoticed action, became a deliberate step toward the inevitable revelation. As the cracks widened, their facade of control weakened further. Colleagues whispered doubts, friends hesitated in their alliances, and the very trust they relied upon began to fray. I never revealed myself, yet my invisible guidance ensured that every hesitation, every failure, and every moment of self-doubt worked to my advantage. Silence had become my instrument of dominance, patience my ally, and observation my weapon. The underestimated quiet observer they had mocked was now the architect of their downfall. Each minor misfortune, each subtle consequence, became a testament to the strength of restraint and calculated planning. They remained oblivious, blinded by arrogance, while I stood calm and unshaken, knowing that every domino was perfectly aligned for the final collapse. Finally, the decisive moment arrived, the culmination of months of careful planning and silent observation. Secrets were exposed, alliances shattered, pride demolished. They looked around, confused, wondering how everything had suddenly gone wrong, but I remained invisible, calm, and in complete control. My silence, once mocked, now resounded louder than any shout could have. Each consequence, each subtle manipulation, had led them here. Their arrogance had been their undoing, and my patience had ensured the perfect execution of justice without confrontation. The quiet, strategic observer had triumphed where impulsive retaliation would have failed. This is the power of silence, underestimated, invisible, and devastatingly effective. In the aftermath, the power of silence was undeniable. Those who once laughed, dismissed, and mocked me now realized that the quietest presence can wield the greatest influence. The patience, strategic observation, and calculated restraint that had been invisible for so long had reshaped their world. They were left humbled, cautious, and forced to confront the consequences of underestimating the quiet observer. My victory required no spectacle, no confrontation, no violent action, only patience, clarity, and an unwavering commitment to precision. Silent Payback had achieved what noise and anger never could: control, justice, and influence executed perfectly. The final weeks were calm yet transformative. They withdrew into caution, relationships restructured subtly, and the lesson of underestimated silence lingered. I remained unexposed, powerful, and in control, a shadow that had reshaped reality without ever revealing its presence. This is the true essence of silent payback: strategic, invisible, and psychologically undeniable. Calm observation and measured patience proved more effective than any impulsive action, teaching a lesson no arrogance could withstand. Those who mocked, belittled, or ignored the quiet were now confronted by its undeniable force, long after the laughter had faded. And so I moved forward, knowing the ultimate truth: silence is not emptiness. Silence is strength, strategy, and inevitability. Those who underestimate it do so at their peril, never realizing the full force it carries until it is too late. Revenge does not require noise, confrontation, or violence. It requires patience, observation, and precise execution. I had remained quiet, underestimated, and invisible, but in that quiet, I held all the power.